Hola, from the west side. It's me, DCThePurpleDiva, and welcome to Not So Random Chat. Happy Saturday, y'all. It's Saturday night. It is the last day of November. And today also would have been my late mother's 84th birthday. So, happy birthday, Mommy. I'm playing some kind of medium tone music tonight. And this is another one of my, the tracks from my goddaughter. Shouts out. Musical genius. This is, State of Mind. This morning, in honor of my mom, I went downtown to Los Angeles and gave out blankets and socks and hats and gloves to the homeless. Hey, Matt. Hey, AKA James. How are you guys? Happy Saturday. Yeah. It's my mom's birthday, but she's not here. She's gone on. She would have been 84 today. So I'm just talking about the experience this morning going downtown LA to Skid Row to give out clothes and stuff to the homeless. It was a lot of people down there, you know, but we were able to give out like over 100 blankets and like, you know, and socks and stuff. And it was probably more than that. I think we had like over 200 of some of the items. And then we also had like 40 pizzas, large pizzas. And so we gave everybody a couple of slices of pizza. So it was really, really cool, but it was really, really sad because, you know, there's so many people that are a paycheck or two away from being homeless. And, you know, I'm going to just say that the mayor in the city of Los Angeles, he got on based on him saying he was going to help clean up the homeless problem and make housing and all of this here. And the problem has only become exasperated. We have a homeless problem, and then this is probably the reason why the state of Nevada, in Southern Nevada, there are more people in Southern Nevada from California than people who are actually born in the state of Nevada. People are fleeing California because they can't afford to live. They can work. Hey, T Million. How are you? Happy Saturday. Just talking about the homeless problem in LA. I went downtown this morning and you know, fed and gave stuff out to the homeless. Yeah, but there's a lot of people who have literally left the state of California and moved to Vegas and to other parts of Southern Nevada. Southern Nevada is now the new inland empire for California. They call it the Inland Empire because it's close to California but it's the next state over, and they have no state tax. And even though real estate is starting to go up some in Nevada, it's still way cheaper than California. So is the rent. You know, but it's really, really sad. Oh, no problem. It's really, really sad in Los Angeles. I'm just going to say that. I've been in California for a while. Now, I'm not from here, as you guys know. I'm from Washington, D.C. But I've been in California for a very long time. And one of the things I can say is that the homeless issues here have gotten worse. It has probably even gotten worse since The Big Short in 2007, when we had the real estate crisis. A lot of people lost their homes, and some people left the state at that point, but a lot of people stayed. And I'm not sure if a lot of you are aware, but it took a little longer for California to recover than for other parts of the country. And now, the California real estate market is back. But most people who live here, if they don't already own a house, they probably never will own a house. Because, unfortunately, the market has outpaced what people actually make. So it's more expensive to live here for many people than what they can make. And then you have people who, fall on unfortunate times, and it's very, very hard for them to get first and last month's rent together so that they can get into a new place. And then the other issue that you have with the people that are on Skid Row is that a lot of people down there, not all, because I'm not going to say all, but you have a lot of people down there who have mental health issues. And so you put them in temporary housing, but you're not addressing their mental health issues so that they can be successfully able to get into regular housing. Yeah, T-Million, I've seen that. And they've tried to come up with that here in Los Angeles. But the issue is that nobody wants any housing for the homeless in their community. Everybody thinks that they're too good for it to be, for them to be housed in their community. You know what I mean? It's such a prejudice, where they're forgetting that these are human beings, and they're trying to get, they just have gotten rent control in areas like Inglewood, which is outside of Los Angeles. And that's the area in which the Rams and the Chargers are going to be playing. Sorry. And I can tell you that in the city of Inglewood, this crazy mayor in the city of Inglewood, they have a post on one of those visual billboards, and I'm going to have to see if I can take a picture of it one day. But basically, this post says that they're going to run the homeless up out of Inglewood. Well, really, well, where are they going? Means they're already trying to to price the people that live in the city of Inglewood out of their housing, because now the corporations are trying to buy up a lot of the places in there. So the mayor in Inglewood wants to hide the homeless issue, push them up out of the city. And I can tell you, Inglewood has a homeless problem. It's probably not as bad as in the city of LA, because I really feel that it's just more exposed in Los Angeles because it's a larger city, and yes, we see the people that are in downtown LA, but that's not the only place that you've got homeless people in the city of LA. You've got homeless people out in the San Fernando Valley. Last year, one of the fires happened near a homeless encampment. You have people who are in homeless encampments under the freeways. It's just scattered out around the city. And so it's more pronounced. And especially because it's the third largest city in the country, percentage-wise of people. But with the tiny house trend, I know that is something that is something that will be possible. But the problem is that there's such resistance to where our homeless, are good enough to live in the eyes of many of the communities within Los Angeles. But they have got to find some type of solutions. It's nice that, people like myself and, you have all of these groups that go down on Skid Row, on a regular basis to help these people out, as far as giving them a little bit of clothing, personal products, a little bit of food and everything. But is that really giving them their dignity? They're so busy thinking about the Olympics that is going to be in Los Angeles in a few years. 10 years, I think. I think it's 2028. So that's 8 years from now. But my question is, what about the people that live here right now? What are you going to do about all of these people, all of these families that are living from pillar to post because they can't afford a place to live? And all of them aren't immigrants. I saw a lot of people that were not the people who are here illegally. No, it wasn't all that. It was a lot of people who clearly were born here. I saw people who don't have mental issues, but they're just down on their luck, and this is all that they can do. I saw an older woman who clearly is on Medicare and everything. She's retired, but she doesn't have enough money coming in to even be able to afford a place to live in a decent area. So she's living down there in Skid Row in one of the shelters. It was just so sad, And hey, Angel, how are you? It was so sad. And everyone was genuinely, just happy just to get a little something. My sister made a bunch of blankets that were, these were beautiful blankets that we were able to give out to a couple of the families. So it was just a real experience. I haven't been able to go down there in a while, because I generally don't like to go down there if I have to take my son with me, just because it's hard to keep him focused in that environment. But I wish I had taken him with me this morning, but, just so he could have, seen that aspect. But I don't know if I would have been able to get him to be focused, But we did take some kids with us just so that they could, see, that, there's kids living on the streets, moms and dads. And, we even saw some of the people that literally, they have the cars down there. They're all their stuff is in their car, and that's where they stay. And the sad part is that a lot of the housing down there, they generally can go into the housing during the night, but it's like they have to leave, the next morning and start the process all over again. Which is just crazy. Hey, Miss Mahogany, how are you? I'm just talking about going down to Skid Row for me today, because went down there today to honor my mom, because today would have been her 84th birthday. And it was just, just eye-opening to see, like one of the young ladies at my church actually, works down in that area. And she's told me about, some of the things going on down there. But to just see it, I mean, you literally have people that they're on the streets and they've got multiple tents. They've got, a tent where they can do their cooking and they eat. Then they have another tent where they can, where they have their living room. And then they have a third tent, which is where they sleep. They have like just tents going down the sideway into like little tiny houses, little domes. And I thought she was kidding about that, but I saw like some of them, and I even saw some of those similar to that in other parts of Los Angeles, where you have someone who's homeless who basically makes them a house, rooms out of tents on the sidewalk or on the grass areas, in the middle, in the mediums, in between, on big streets or under the bridges. Yeah. I miss my mom, but I know she wouldn't come back even if she could. She's in a much better place. She's been gone since 2011. So, but it doesn't get any easier every year. And I just was thankful that me and my sister were able to go out and, just do something, with one of the, the ministries that was just going down to the downtown. While we were down there, we also saw like there was another group that was across the street, and they had like laid out like a full-fledged feast. And they were setting up as we were going. So, but they had like, turkey. They had all of the, the Thanksgiving trimmings and everything. And they literally we saw the line that was starting to form for their thing. And then last weekend, I know that my church also was down there and fed like about 200 people, gave out stuff and clothed them and everything. But the problem is that when we're going down there, we're doing what we can, but we still need a place for these people to live. I mean, we cannot just act like it's okay for people to be living on the street. And the mayor keeps saying he's coming up with these programs. Okay. Oh, and then here's the kicker. This president supposedly claims that he's going to open up all of these federal buildings for the homeless. That's what he claims he's going to do. You know, but my question is, which federal buildings are you going to open? The ones that are closed, are you going to open up the ones that have been closed because they have asbestos in them? You know what I mean? We don't want to put them in those buildings, because I know that they have areas. I know for a fact at least the federal buildings, like some of the ones, the VA ones, yeah. People used to work in asbestos-filled rooms. I have a friend that worked for them in one of those federal buildings, and she got cancer twice. She beat it the first time. The second time, she wasn't so blessed. Working in a federal building. Yeah. So, you know, I don't have a whole bunch to talk about tonight. You guys, just wanted to kind of get on here and just, you know, talk with you guys. I'm still a little achy from, you know, the ordeal with my son yesterday. But things, I'm starting to look like me again. No swelling. The swelling's pretty much gone, mostly gone. On my face, it's pretty much gone, you know, but you can still see the little bite mark on my cheek. But he is actually upstairs, away from me for right now. But he was down here earlier. He's been really acting on pretty much his best behavior today. So, I don't know. We'll see how that, you know. But I'll be talking to his caseworker on Monday for sure. Because, yeah, we really do need to assist him with this. You know, because the issue is that if he ever has a meltdown and it's not with, you know, like me or his dad, he could be out somewhere, you know, and police could be involved because somebody is hurt. So we have to help him with this, you know. Got to help him with this as you know, especially because he's an adult. But he's doing well right now. You know, no moods. His mood is happy. His mood is happy. So is everybody still eating leftover foods that had foods from on Thursday? I know at my house, it's pretty much a done deal. It's pretty much a done deal over here. It's time for me to cook some more food. Hey, Sparks Massage, how are you? Yeah, we still have just a corner of gumbo left. And I do mean a corner of gumbo left, because my son has been killing that gumbo nonstop. I think he's been eating gumbo all day long. So I think there's like a corner of it left. Yeah. So I think I just got to figure out what I'm going to make. I think I'll do some chicken or something tomorrow. I don't know. No, I don't really want chicken. No, I think we want to go. I think I'll do a shepherd's pie and yeah, tomorrow. Or I might have something else. Yeah, but I don't want any. I'm not really in a turkey mood for a couple of days. The turkey was delicious. Don't get me wrong. The turkey was delicious. I'm doing good, Sparks. But yeah, I'm okay if I don't have turkey for a few, for a few. I'm good. And doing the next holiday that's coming forward for everyone, I'll be talking about a little bit about Hanukkah, and I will be talking about Christmas, and I will be talking about Kwanzaa during December, and at some point, probably sometime in the next week or so, we will continue our conversation in regards to the Khazarian Jews, because I do also want to get to the conversation about how all of that stuff relates to the New World Order and all of the things that people are seeing starting to come to fruition. But I wanted to have a little bit of a conversation in regards to some of the things that Brother Terry was talking about, in regards to the Pan-Africans, and just kind of give some other insights that I've kind of been looking at in regards to things that are going on the continent, and some of the barriers that really need to be broken through on the continent for them to get to where they need to be. Because I've listened to some other perspectives, and some of the things that I'm hearing are very, very true. That although our ancestors and now us are pretty much the minority in this country, we have tried to, once we were freed, we have tried to do things to get ourselves to the next level, to get inclusion, because technically this is not our country. It's the country that we came into because our ancestors were slaves. Whereas you have over on the continent a very, very, very different situation. Although they did not go through the same type of slavery as that we went through, the colonization and the splittings of the lands over there arbitrarily, crazily, has had a huge impact on the peoples on the continent. And it's a very, very similar impact that it's had on us, because our ancestors, for all intents and purposes, were not the same people. Just like all Black people are not the same. They came from various tribes, because that was the way of the civilization on the continent, and not just on the continent, but in other parts of the world, because it was a tribal system with the natives that were here in the Americas, and I'm talking about North and South of America. It was also tribal systems in India and in China as well, even though it was behind that wall. So, the thing that we need to understand is that although all of the peoples on Africa were the same color, they weren't the same people. And even now, they still hold on to those tribal separatisms within the nations that they're in. So The issue is that it appears that outside of Gaddafi, who was murdered because he was trying to get nations of Africa to come up with their own currencies, we have the issue is that the African nations no longer have their own military forces. They no longer have control of their own resources, and they're the majority. To me, it's just crazy that they cannot come together and cannot break through the tribal differences that still exist thousands of years, hundreds of years later, because of all that colonization, to come together as just people of color, to take control. It's in the West, meaning our country, and Europe's best interest that they stay in this total state of confusion that they appear to be in, and in armor of Europeans and beholden to Europeans and to the United States. Yeah. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, let me just back up, because I'm always making an assumption that people know what I'm talking about. Gaddafi was a president in Africa, and he was of the mind that the African nations should not be beholden to Europeans, and they should develop their own currency. And he was working towards that with other nations, but people plotted behind him because, that was not in their best interest for the African nations to be totally autonomous. So he was murdered. And you haven't had anybody who had the kind of strength that he had to go to bulk against the system. Everybody since then, you have so many that it's in their best interest to keep people oppressed, and beholden, because if you go into the cities, if you go to Africa, and I know many of us haven't, but the real Africa is not in any of the cities. All the cities and everything that you see in all of the African countries are really European influenced and American influenced, and the people in those cities, they're not that's not a true representation of any of the countries. But if you go outside of the countries, outside of the cities, into the rural areas, that's where you'll see the real people of Africa. I'm gonna state. Hey Marlon Music. Oh wow. I'm glad you're back. Okay. All right. Thank you, Marlon. Thank you. Thank you for coming through. I appreciate it. I wanted to talk about one of the things that's really very, very, very interesting. And I heard this in another chat earlier today. Shouts out, to Nyla says, because I heard it in her, she had a long chat. I think it went overnight, and I listened to part of it earlier today. But anyway, one of the things that was talked about was, all these people that are on this Go Back to Africa thing and kick. Do you know that American citizens that live on the continent, the majority of them do not own real estate and cannot own real estate and are only foreign nationals, and it is harder for them to become permanent resident aliens in countries on the continent of Africa than it is for Africans from Nigeria, Kenya, you name it, whatever country they're in, to come over here and become permanent resident aliens. Oh, and they can come over here and buy real estate because our laws allow foreigners to buy real estate. But they do not allow, we cannot buy real estate if we relocated over to the continent. We could not be landowners for the most part, unless of course, you want to marry someone who is an actual citizen. Yeah. Even if you're paying cash, you might have something, but it's going to be in somebody else's name. You can't actually legally own. Yeah. There's some people, now I'm not saying it's all, there are some that actually own, but it's in the minority. Because they can get, visas to come over here and work and everything. And I've worked in the real estate industry, although I'm not on the origination side any longer. But yeah, you don't have to be a United States citizen to buy real estate in our country. But I promise you, most other countries do not allow people who are not citizens to buy land. Mexico does not do it. I think it's just recently that they finally made it so that people from the United States can actually own property in Mexico. And that's only in a couple of states within Mexico. But for the most part, we can't own property down there. So most people that are down there, they may own something, but they don't really own it. The banks own it. It's like it's in trust. It's a weird situation to get property there. And the rules are different in a lot of the other countries as well. We're one of the only countries that make it really easy for people from other countries to own real estate. But I just think it's very ironic with the come back to Africa. And I'm not on the go to the motherland train by any means, I'm not from, this is where I am. This is where I'm from, but I recognize that I am descended from there. But with all the come to Africa stuff, we can't even own. We can't even own nothing over there. And you have to have a whole lot of money, US money, to live comfortably in some of those cities. It's not as cheap, as inexpensive as people think it is for foreigners to live on the continent. They don't make it easy. Yeah, they very much distrust, and Although, you know, people think of the thing that, you know, one of the reasons why we have such a hard issue with being accepted when we go to there, it's not because we're mixed with you know, European blood, but we don't even know which tribes we're from, you know, and we think that, you know, the people in the different countries, you know, that's not necessarily how they represent themselves. They still see themselves as tribes without you knowing who you are, down to like, are you from Fulani tribe? Are you, you know, I mean, I know all of these different tribes. I don't know all the different names, but I'm just saying they still see themselves from those tribal things, even though they have separated them into all of these different countries and everything. And that's part of one of the reasons why it's very hard for them to become cohesive, because you don't really have all of one tribe in one country. And then the issue is the psychological dependence on aid from Europe and from the United States. They're under the impression that they need it. But if they took control and ownership of their resources, and then, yeah, okay, maybe you could lease them back out to all these companies that have them, because the Western world will die without the resources from Africa. We all know it. But they have got to do something for themselves. And here's the ironic thing is that many of them want us to do for them, help them out, but we need to see you help yourself first. I'm just saying, because we got our situation over here that we trying to get through, as not being seen as second-class citizens, right? But if we go over there, you know, we're not even a second-class citizen over there. Yeah. Pretty much. That's the way it is. Hey, Wendy. So, and it's not like that with everybody, but they have but in many countries, unfortunately, the imagery that they have of us in America, you know, people of color in America, is what they see on TV. That's who they think that we are. You know? And we not rich by any means, but it looks like we are. Because I've said this before, and our issue with our skin, it's somewhere in our DNA. It is. And it's all the way back to Africa, because we seem to have some crazy idolization for the white man. And I'm not saying this to be funny or anything, but it's like they are the minority, but somehow our peoples, because of all of the different things that we have allowed them to do, have psychologically accepted the deception that they're superior to us. You know, and then you have Black people all over the world trying to bleach their skin to be white. What kind of craziness is that? And what kind of and what does that say about our psyche as a people? You know? I mean, I don't even want to go into the fact that we already know that the biblical Jews, Hebrew people, are scattered all over the world, and not the people that are actually in the state of Israel, the counterfeits. And maybe that has something to do with what we're going through. I don't know. But what I do know, that as a people, we seem to hate who we are. And I'm not saying all of us, but we have a disdain for who we are. We have a disdain for who we are. I mean, think about it. After the Civil War, you had a group of blacks that did, try to make their own thing, be separate from the whites, and they were successful for a moment, and then they destroyed that. And then everyone went to the, okay, well, maybe we can try doing it a different way. Hey, Health, Wealth, and Real Talk. But you know what? Health, Weight, and Real Talk, it's deeper than slavery, because it's not just us. It's not just us. People on the continent who went through colonialism, they weren't enslaved, so to speak, but they were colonialized nonetheless. And then, there were some plantations in Africa. They don't want to talk about that part. But anyway, I'm digressing. But the colorism is there. I mean, you got people on the continent and all these getting bleaching creams trying to make their skin white. They weren't never slaves like us. Why they think white is right? Why do they think it's right? Why do they think white is right? I mean, and the craziness of it is that people of color come in all different shades, and that's even those who have never left the continent. It was always all different shades. I mean, there was a point in time. Yeah, that's what I'm talking. The Black Wall Street. Talking about Oklahoma. I'm talking about down in Florida as well. Talking about Florida as well. Yep. Talking about Rosewood. I'm not just talking about. Yeah, I'm talking about all of that. Those things happened after the end of the Civil War in the late, 19th century. Yeah. But I also think, Mahogany, that part of it is that they've been brainwashed on the continent as well. Because think about it. How does an 85% majority allow a 15% minority to control them and their land. How does that happen? Because the thing is that they weren't all one people. They were different tribes. They think that all, to them, all of us were the same. We weren't the same. That's the problem. And they could not unify. The tribes don't know how to unify. They still can't do that. They still have not come to the realization that they actually hold the power. They don't realize that they have the power. They don't have the military. Okay, granted, but they have the power. It's just crazy to me. When you just think about it. It's like it's so fractured. If you could get the different tribal elements to come into line, and for there actually to be, political treaties, between the different tribal entities, but it's like their minds are screwed. It's like they just don't see, Yeah, the lighter skin thing, and then it doesn't even help that people try to. You have some people who are of the lighter hue who will say that those of us of the darker hues are jealous. I've never been jealous of the color of somebody else's skin. I could care less. I'm just going to say it. I have never had that issue. Never had that issue. But, you have people that are that get treated differently because they're lighter. And so that feeds into that fallacy. It feeds into the fallacy. But the colorism that we have, it's not just here. It's like it is embedded in people of color's DNA. And I'm not just talking about, I'm talking about across all peoples of colors. All peoples of colors. Everyone who has melanin in their skin, including white people. Everybody wants to be the lightest hue of whatever they are. If they're Caucasian, they want to be the fairest. If they're black, so to speak, and I hate using that word, but whatever, people of color, then they want to be the lightest people of color. That's it. That's in African nations. That's in Indian nations, because you had people of color in India, because India at one point, was part of Africa before it broke off and crashed in and made the Himalayas. Okay. And then they were invaded by the Aryans and from up north with the lighter hues. In India, the darker skinned people are very, very much, very, very much discriminated against because they're seen as black, just like us. You know, I mean, it's all over the world. Dark-skinned people everywhere. You know, and that's the crazy thing about the European race thing. It's stupid. It's non-existent because you have black people all over the world, literally. You know, in almost all, you know, in all parts of the world. We were everywhere. You know, there were black people in South America when they went there. You know, they were already there. There were black people already on the continent of Australia when they went, when white people got there. Every place that they went, they found we were already there. So that's the point. Is that the majority of the people of color are on the continent of Africa, but the myth is that that's the only place that we are, except for because of the diaspora. You know, exactly, the Aborigines. You know, did no slave ship you know, get them there. They were already there when the Europeans hit the land. They were already there. And then what did the Europeans do? Drove them inland. But they're trying to get their lands back too. They're discriminated against there because, of course. But when people think of black, they only think of us, Americans. Everyone else is based on where they're from, even if they're a person of color. It was tribal, like, you know, like I said, in Africa, it was like the Fulani people, the Mandingo people, you know, what was that? Was the Tutsis, you know, different. That's how they identified themselves. And all we can do is identify ourselves as black. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, Nollywood. Yeah, Nollywood. If you watch the Nollywood movies, you will see how much Western influence is there. I mean, the weaves, the bad weaves, you know, I mean, it's very, very westernized, and they use a lot of what, you know, I mean, it's like they're striving to be like Western movies. And it's the same thing with Bollywood, with the Indian movies too. If you notice, in the Nollywood movies, you have the lighter skinned people who are more portrayed. Same thing with with the Bollywood, the Indian movies, the lighter skinned. Just saying. Us people of color, we're crazy with this colorism. It's not them who gave that to us. We did it to ourselves all over. It's so us, like, what is it? Why do we, you know, some of our people see that as a god and something to aspire to be. Exactly. You know, I got to do some research, because I need to do some research on the people on the Europeans and all that stuff when they were in the caves and everything before they came out the caves and just do some stuff, because there's different within them. Yeah, colorism is very much self-hate. Very much. You know? It shouldn't even matter. But we as a people, and I say that globally, we as people of color have made it an issue. And for some reason, it's like the minority of the earth, literally is sitting back and watching us do all this stuff, you know, and making them the aspiration. How did the minority of the earth become the aspiration? You know? It's just crazy. It's just crazy. But let's see. Yeah. Well, you know, like in my family, that's very interesting in my family. Because I mean, I told you guys that my grandmother, my mom's mom, could pass. They called her Pinky because she could pass. She looked white when she was younger. And her family was most of them were very, very fair-skinned. And they were very, very upset with her when she married my grandfather. Because my grandfather was almost blue-black. That's how dark he was. You know? And that's, you know, that comes from his Caribbean mama, who was also really, really dark. And so she basically, they felt like she messed up the family, but because getting with him, she wasn't gonna have no light kids, which is true. But some of them were. Some of my aunts and uncles, but I mean, so my mom was one of 11 kids that ran the gamut. They ran from high yellow to dark. Yep, exactly. He was dark. He was. I mean, I remember, shoot, one of my uncles is the same color. One of my uncles is the same color as my grandfather was. You know? And then he married a very fair-skinned woman, and his kids are all, you know, different shades. But yeah, but that's a crazy thing, you know, within our culture. I'm not going to say, I'd say within the African American culture that is crazy, because you'll have people who are light skinned, you know, who don't want to be with other, who want to be with darker skinned people because they want their kids to be browner. And then you'll have darker skinned people that want to be with someone who's light skinned so they don't have dark skinned kids. But yeah, I mean, part of my family passed. I already know that. I got white cousins. So clearly, they just went completely over. You know, now they are white, and they still got black relatives. So it is what it is. You know, and that's in my grandfather's family. You know, the dark skin part. They went white. You know, I got cousins in Texas and Arizona who I'm Facebook friends with, you know, and they're white, but they know we're related. Oh, Lord. It's funny. You know, it's just hilarious to me. But we have so many different complexions. I love all the different shades of skin that we have within you know, people of color. I love all the different shades of eyes. Our eyes can go from blue to the darkest brown. You know, we have our hair can go from, we have people who have naturally blonde hair to almost black hair. And our skin goes from white, almost white, to almost black. And then we've got straight hair, we've got curly hair, we have kinky hair, we have bushy hair, we have everything. You know, so, you know, like, it's the funny thing is that in the United States, depending on where you live, it depends on how your skin color is seen. Crazy, because I was considered darker back home in DC, and when I came to California, I'm not considered that dark at all here, which is, you know, interesting because I didn't grow up that way. I grew up being treated like I was dark girl. The whole, you know, so when I came to California and and they looked at me differently, I was just like, you know, but I thought I was dark. Hey, Ice Rose. Exactly. All skin is beautiful. I just hate the fact that we're so stuck, you know, and it's like the colorism won't go away no matter what you do. And it's a global thing. It's not even an American thing. Really? Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Matt. But at home, I'm just brown, but this is considered dark. This was considered dark. What you see is considered dark at home. So, yeah, I don't pass the brown paper bag test, so to speak. I know, you know, but even though people look at the DC area, you know, they think that's the north and everything, it's in the south, you know. Yeah, it's in the south, and they definitely got them southern paper bag ways. Maybe not so much now, but in the 60s, 70s, yeah, they did. You know, but I just think it you know, it's silly, you know, because it gets in the way of our success dealing with that BS. And to me, it's like, okay, I'm like, what in the history of people of color, what the heck did happen to us in history that has us color struck globally? Globally, we're color struck. You know? globally we're color struck. It's just so silly. It's so silly. And and to me it's what it is what holds us back no matter where we are. Because you have a continent where people of color are 85%, yet their color struckness makes them think that white is better than them. So they don't have, it's like, so that all factors into them allowing these Europeans to still control them and not take their full independence and not come up with their own currencies in the different countries, get past the tribal issues. You know? Miss Mahogany, the thing is that, like, you know, I will be around, I've been around, like, some of my friends, when they find out that my family is Afro-Latino, they say, oh, yeah, you look Latina. Really? But a minute ago, I just looked black to you. What are you talking about? What? It's like, I said, I'm like, because as you well know, I told him, I said, well, you know, more ships went to other parts. But it just seems like out of all of the people in the diaspora, those of us here in the United States, and we're really the smallest portion of the diaspora, even though it may not seem like it to us, we are that. The other parts of the diaspora look at us crazy because I guess their feeling is that we should be better off than we are because we are here. And then they come over here and do better than us. You know? They look at us, and it's true probably, because we probably have not taken advantage of a lot of opportunities that were there for us. But then on the other hand, there are a lot of opportunities that we're denied that if you are a person of color coming from another country, you get, that we don't get. And they don't see that. So it's, you know, it's a little, it's just frustrating because it seems like it's an ongoing issue with us as people of color. And I mean, and I really, and I'm just starting to know, you know, people on the continent from different cultures and everything. And so I really don't know what their feelings are in regards to all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about everything from the standpoint of someone in the Americas, you know? I'm talking about it from that perspective. But it gets really, really crazy, you know, trying to look at how our people are And you know, I mean, we all want to see the point where we can succeed, and it's not about assimilation. But it appears that even on the continent, the only ones who are succeeding are the ones who assimilate to European standards. And I just don't understand. I guess it frustrates me. I think it frustrates me more than anything, because maybe it's just easy for me because I'm over here and I can't see what's going on in 54 countries that were arbitrarily put together, which is really probably what the main issue is, you know, because I think that it was systematically done to keep them from being unified in any manner. Because clearly if you mix up the people, you know, and mix up the tribes and everything, then you're going to create a chaotic situation. Clearly. Really? Their native blood or DNA makeup? Our native blood? You mean Native American blood or oh, so we're told not to claim if we have any Native American. Hey, it's not our fault. You put Native Americans with black people, you know, I mean, with African slaves, and this is what happens. This is what happens. Some of us have Native American in us. Some of us, you know, were born on reservations. All the way up, you know, back, I would say even up into the 40s. You had black people living on reservations. You still have black people living on reservations today. So, I don't know what they're talking about. You know, why would I want to deny that part? At least I know that part. I know what tribes I came from in the Native American community. I have no idea what tribes I came from in Africa, but I'm pretty sure that my ancestors were from some part of West Africa, since that's where most of the slave trading was done. You know, the thing is that most of us are a mixed people. Now, granted, yeah, okay, there's probably a smaller percentage of black people who have native blood in them than claim it. Okay, it's probably not as many of us, but there are some legitimately. And heck, if you've got native in you, it's part of your DNA. Why would you want to discount that part of your DNA? You know? I don't get that part. Yeah, but we're brainwashed. You know, we're brainwashed. But you know, like I said, in my family, you know, I'm fortunate enough to know that both of my parents had enough documented Indian in them that they could have gone to college for free on the U.S. government. you know, and there's more, and there's more, there's probably more black people than they want to admit that have Native blood in them. Just like there's more of us than they want to admit that also have Latin blood in us. You know?
Oh.
Okay, son. As y'all can hear, my son has come downstairs. You know, health. What? I got more. I said this before. I have more Native American in me than Elizabeth Warren does. So she need to go sit down with that stuff. I got more Native American in me than her. She's crazy. You know, she found out that she got like what 1% Native American or something crazy like that in her. Girl, you just need to stop with that. Yep. She's funny. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting with the 2020 census. Because if they do the census correctly, you know, it's going to show that the black and brown population, well, more specifically the brown, is growing and growing and growing. And she's what? She's a $5 Indian. She's a $5 Indian. Yeah. What kind of Indian did she? I don't even remember what tribe she claimed she was from. I don't even care. I think it's funny that he called that Trump calls her Pocahontas. You know. No, she ain't dropped out yet, dude. She's still hanging in there. But like, and Biden is still in front, but like some places he's lost his he's either lost his lead, like I think in whatever state that Pete Buttigieg or whatever his name is. Yeah, he's front runner in that state, followed by Biden and then Warren. But they're just all bunched up together. They're all like close up together. And then Kamala, she just, you know, the only place she's leading is in California for some crazy reason. And I don't understand that. Because Kamala is not the black man's friend. She is not. More black men went to jail, went to prison on that woman's watch as DA up in San Francisco and as, you know, the state attorney. I'm just saying, y'all. She is, you know, she is not looking out for black people. And I'm not saying, you know, obviously as a president, you have to be looking out for all people. But if you got to be looking out for something other than, you know, you got to be looking out for some people. But then again, you know, who knows with her? I don't trust her. I just don't trust her. You know, so she needs to just go on and be a senator. Her and Corey, both of them. Y'all just need to go on back to be the senator that you are. Just be a senator. It's not your time. You ain't ready. You are not ready to run for president. You know? You may never be ready. You may never be ready for president. But yeah, no, she's still hanging in there. And I mean, the first primaries are in like a couple of months. And California is one of the first ones too, because they pushed themselves into the front. I think the primary in California is in March. Yeah, I mean, the only point that Cory Booker got from me is that he's dating Rosario Dawson. Okay. And I like her. Okay. He's cute. But I don't understand. I can't even remember one political point that man has put out. And he's not been memorable to me in the debates. So there. You know. Yeah, well, you know, Obama was, when that man went out and did that speech at the Democratic National Convention 4 years before he ran, everybody knew right then and there. We were all like, when he gave his speech, we were like, how come he's not running for president? And this was 4 years before he ran for president. He wasn't even thinking about running for president at that point. But we were like, you know, I've never gotten that from Cory. You know what I'm saying? No matter what anybody says about Obama, you know, and I mean, none of us agree with everything that he did, but he was the right mix for white people and other people other than black people to accept him. Because it wasn't just us voting for him, clearly. You know? And, you know, but I don't even listen to him. I told you, I can't remember nothing the man has said. I don't remember anything he said. I don't remember nothing he has said. That's the part. Hey, Terry. Yeah, we just talking about anything and everything. We were talking about Africans and colorism earlier. Hey Terry, did you get a chance? Have you had a chance to check out Nyla Says? She did a 10-hour. Well, I don't know. I'm not saying it was 10. It was an overnight thing, and they were talking about the continent and really just talking about what the real issues are with any type of possible unification. The same stuff that we've been talking about. Yep. Because one of the people on her panel actually lived over actually lived over in on the continent for a while and was actually married to a Guyanan, and he was talking about, you know, how it really is over there in certain countries, just based on his experience. And then there was somebody else on the panel that was Pan-African. It was a very interesting, actually, discussion, you know, because they brought up some very key points. Yeah, I'd say definitely go take a listen to it, Terry, because it was a good discussion, you know. I was glad to see some content, you know, rather than the BS that's been going on for the last week. You know, this was some content that came out, so it was good. It was good talking about that. Yeah, it started after, maybe it did. I think it started after my live last night. Like, okay, so one of the things that he was talking about, Terry, he was talking about, you know, he was really talking about, you know, people that are talking about going back to Africa and being on that kick, and just really discussing the fact that for the most part, those of us who are expatriates that are on the continent or whatever are really just foreign nationals. We are not property owners on the continent for the most part, and that it's even more difficult, to become a permanent resident alien in African countries than it is to become a permanent resident alien in the U.S. That we will also, this part I can attest to, it's easier for someone to come from an African country and buy real estate here than it is for us to go over there. Just he was just making a comment about the fact that, you know, even if we go over there, we can't do anything per se to fix the situation for them. They're going to have to fix the situation for themselves. And the other thing is, he was just talking about how that a lot of them, you know, you have some people that are waiting for us to help them out, but then on the other hand, you have people over here that are looking at them saying, you need to show us that you're going to do something for yourself. And then what else were they talking about? Oh, the other thing he talked about was shoot, it just went out of my head. What was the other key point that he made about? Oh, he also talked about Gaddafi. Yeah, he was talking about, you know, the same thing, the same point that we were making about the fact that they have got to that the nations on the continent have got to stop being dependent on European currency and take control of their own resources. The same stuff that we were talking about. It was the same stuff. But they just went into a whole lot more depth, and then they had the perspective of several people who had been to the continent. But they weren't really, there wasn't really a lot of, I would say the conversation was not necessarily from a Pan-African perspective. It was just from a perspective, like, you had one person who made a very, very good point. And he's like, his frustration was, he says, I don't understand how 85% allows a 15% to control everything when, you know, they're 85%. But then another person made the same point that you and I were talking about. It's that those 85%, they don't see themselves as one people. They see themselves as their tribal peoples. So even within there, you still have the segmentation, which is what makes it hard to get that unification, because people, even though they may live in the same countries, they're not the same people, and they don't see themselves as the same people. You know, all blacks are not the same to them. Let me switch to. Yeah, they were talking about a lot of different things. That was part of what they were talking about. They did talk about the unification, but they went on a lot of different tangents about all of the things going on on the continent, and just, you know, there was just various points of view. You know, some were of the mind that we here in the US need to help them, and others were of the mind that they need to help themselves, because, you know, we're not there, and, you know, although we are descendants of African, we are not African, you know, basically. So it was just a lot of stuff. Yeah, you're more on the revolutionary thing, and that was part of what this one person was talking about. He was just like, why he doesn't understand why they can't just overtake, you know, this minority and take their place, take their countries, you know, take their lands back. You know, and that's when it got into the, you know, the conversation about the colonial annexation, and how the lands have been, you know, partitioned, not really the way that they were partitioned by the tribes themselves. Yeah, they weren't really coming from, like I said, the one who was on there that was Pan-African, he wasn't from the revolutionary perspective. I'll tell you that. I forget what his name was. But no, he wasn't coming from the revolutionary thing. But the person who was not, I think it was, I don't want to misspeak. I think it was Taz, the goat that was on the panel too, in the background. And he's the one who was just of the mindset that the 85% on the continent need to overtake all of these, European colonists. He feels like they need to just overthrow them and take over take everything back. Yeah. So it was an interesting conversation. Like I said, Terry, I listened to part of it today, but they were on there for hours. I would like you to take a listen to it and kind of give your perspective on it after you take a listen to it. But I definitely, like, in the next couple of days, I definitely think we need to continue our conversation on the Khazarian Jews. I was talking about that to my sister this morning, and this is what she said. As soon as I said, I told her, I said, yeah, we've been talking about the Khazarian Jews. She said, oh yeah. She said, oh, you mean the counterfeit Jews? That's what my sister calls them. I said, well, they're not counterfeit, sis. She said, but they're not the Israelites. I said, that is true. And I'm like, it's just so funny because so many of us know the truth, but then so many of us don't know the truth. So many don't know the truth. But yeah, I think we need to definitely do that in the next couple of days, you know, because especially with all of the stuff that's really going on right now. Because I'm watching. I'm really watching the stuff that's going on over there. Yeah. You know, as soon as I said that, my sister quoted the same scripture that I had already quoted. Revelations 2:6. Those that call themselves Jews, but are not, but rather are from the house of Satan. And that has to do with the person the person who started all of this stuff. He was an atheist. He didn't even believe in God. I know, and that's why I want us to have more of that conversation. So that's why I want you to take a listen to that one that they did last night. It was a whole bunch of people in that conversation. And I just want to get your perspective on that, because I know you're coming from a completely different view than the person that was on the panel who said that they were Pan-African. You know, but I want you to listen to because I'm telling you, it was a very different perspective from what you and I were talking about. It was interesting though, but yeah, I want you to take a listen to it. You know, because I can't think of the name. I want to say it was somebody. I want to say his name is Cerulean. I think that's the one who actually lived in Africa. Because he was in the military, and I believe he was actually married to a Guyanan woman. So he, kind of gave his perspective. Yeah, I think that's what his name was. I don't know who these people are. I'm just trying to remember the names. I'm just getting to know who some of them are, But yeah, that was an interesting conversation because, of course, that was more from the B1 perspective, I'm sure, but yeah. Yeah, that's why I want you to listen to the conversation last night. He wasn't necessarily speaking for Pan-Africanism. He had his own perspective. He was talking revolutionary, but not necessarily Pan-African revolutionary, Yeah, Cerulean. That was the name. Yeah, that person. Yeah, he was on there. He lived in Africa at some point. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, if I remember correctly and listening to it, Taz wasn't in the conversation at the very beginning. He came in later on. Yeah. So I would take a listen to that, and I just want to get your perspective because I think that ties in with our conversation in regards to that. And since I listened to it, I want to get your perspective on what they were saying as well. But let's see, what time is it? 45. Yeah. But for whatever reason, guys, I am like so sleepy tonight. I am so sleepy tonight. Yeah, I am sleepy tonight. That's why I don't sound so hyped up. I think I used a lot of adrenaline when I was out there this morning because we were out there for a couple of hours. I thought it was going to go really, really quick doing the homeless, feeding and clothing the homeless this morning. But it was a couple of hours. I was really surprised that it didn't become a crazy thing. But I think it didn't become crazy because we weren't the only ones down there this morning. Yeah. So I'm gonna cut it short. We're gonna be just, shy of the 2 hours tonight, but we'll be okay. I'll make up for it tomorrow. I'll make up for it tomorrow. But I thank all of you guys. Yeah, I think the food is catching up because I have been eating today. I want to thank you guys for coming out tonight. As always, you could be doing anything else but spending time with me. I thank you guys for coming out here with me because today was a rough day because it is my mom's 84th birthday and she is in heaven. So I appreciate y'all just getting on here with me for a little bit, and we will talk again on tomorrow. Hopefully by then, Terry, you'll have a chance to take a listen to it, and maybe we can discuss it further. And then I got some other stuff I want to look at that if I can find what I need that I want to add to the conversation on that as well in regards to the colonization, because they went into other stuff talking about the Moors and all of that in their conversation last night. It got deep. So, but we'll talk tomorrow for those of us on the West Coast and later today for those of y'all back east. I thank y'all for coming. Miss Mahogany, Matt, T Million, Marlon, everybody who came through, Iced Rose, Health Weight and Real Talk. Go Donnie. I'm just making sure I caught everybody who came through the chat. Sparks Massage, yep. And AKA James, thank you guys all for coming through. Until tomorrow, peace from the West Side, guys. Bye, everybody. I will see y'all.